Natasha, I haven't seen you. Gosh, I think I've seen you once since the wedding, but only one. Oh, that's crazy.
Birthday lunch.
Birthday lunch. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I haven't seen you since the wedding because, of course, you had this like honeymoon that went on for, a year? I don't know. It feels like it went on forever because I didn't even talk to you. But I told you at your wedding that, when everything was said and done, we should wash your wedding dress. And you looked at me like, huh? And it's funny because, like, you've been a laundry fan forever. And still you looked at me like, huh? I even specifically remember saying, but it's all lace. And I was like, yeah, okay. So today's the day, and we're gonna wash it. So tell me what. Have you even seen it?
No.
Like you put it away after your wedding, and that's it.
Yeah.
So we have no idea
we
have no idea what's on it, right? I mean, it could be like, oh my gosh, the food was so good. So who knows?
Yeah.
It could have wine. Who knows? We're gonna find out.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you want to do with it when we're done?
I want to preserve it. I have a box that I kept it in because of the 2 years delay.
Yeah.
So when I put it back in its little box,
right.
I preserve it.
Yeah. So you've had it. It's funny. I forgot about that. You've had it for several years.
Yeah, it's vintage.
Waiting.
It's vintage.
It's almost vintage at this point. You've been waiting. I mean, like, oh my gosh, it's like the opposite of a shotgun wedding. It just went on forever.
Yeah.
So finally, but it was fabulous.
Thank you so much.
So, all right. I have the dress.
Yeah.
It's behind me. Okay. So let's look at it.
Okay. Let's show all the fun we had.
Yeah. Are you excited to look at it, or are you like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what's on it? Will you hold it?
I don't know. I honestly, I'm like, I think I made it clean, so if there's things on it, it's going to be a surprise.
So here's the thing. I mean, it could have been, God, it was such a great dress.
Thank you.
It could have been, it really could have been that you got something clear on it. All right.
Oh, yeah, the bottom. There we go.
Yeah, the bottom's going to have a little schmutz. That's just, all right, let's look at it. Let's lay it out. That's such a great dress.
It is a great dress.
It's beautiful. But yeah, look, here we've got this.
Yeah.
And the reality is there's no way to avoid, let's go this way so we can see the bottom. There's really no way to avoid this. And the truth of the matter is there's just, this is just a mark from your shoe.
Mm-hmm.
It's just standing on it, walking on it, you know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong. It's just, you walked it, you wore it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because how many hours were you in it? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh. I fell asleep on the couch with it.
Oh, okay, so a while.
Yeah, I went from probably
So kind of went from a wedding gown to a nightgown?
3 to 3.
Yeah.
Let's call it.
So it was a 12-hour dress.
Yes.
All right. Well, quite frankly, for it to be a 12-hour dress, we're pretty good. Because, I expected it to have wine on it, to be honest. Does it have anything on the back? Let's flip it over. I'm going to come toward you. And then where's that the other one? Oh, no, it's amazing. It's amazing that it has nothing on it. And you had red wine at the wedding.
Yeah, I had our specialty grapefruit.
Right, and nothing.
Bellini spritz.
Well, but that was pale. I was thinking of you had dark
pink.
colored.
Yeah, and red wine, Pinot Noir.
Yeah, and nobody. Oh,
how is this going to come out though? The dirt.
Well, we're going to scrub it with a horsehair brush.
Okay.
So, what I think we should do, first, will you hand me the hanger? I'm going to hang it out just for a second because I want to cover your dining table with a couple of towels.
Okay.
And I want to do that just because I think we should just wash it in the tub right on the table because we can see what we're doing. We have bright light. You got us a little plastic tub. Do you mind putting in that much water?
Okay, like that, maybe. Okay. Yeah, like a third, a half.
A little less than half. Let's start with, because we can always add more.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So we're going to add, and make sure it's kind of warm.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to add some warm water to the tub. It's going to give us some water to kind of work with. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to scrub this hand. We're going to use a bar of laundry soap and probably a couple of horsehair brushes. I'm hoping Natasha has one. I think she does because she's been a long time laundry fan, laundry buddy of mine. We've known each other for, oh gosh, 6 or 7 years. So we're going to start with that, and then we're going to kind of go from there. She also, just out of camera, has this killer liquor cabinet. And I'm like looking over there like, oh, should we, have gin and tonics while we go? But that's probably not a good idea because we want the dress to be perfect, right? Yes, this way, because it's going to be easier for us both to reach in that way. All right, perfect. Now, the first thing we're going to do, we're actually going to push the hem in because the hem will get wet, and we'll start with that, and then, because we need to scrub the hem because that's what's dirty. The truth of the matter is, I don't think we're really going to have to scrub the dress much. It looks like it's in great shape. We're just going to use some soap flakes to kind of wash it. But, I mean, it looks in great shape. We just need to scrub this hem. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to grab the dress, and I'm going to ask you to carry the dress that way. Yep, there it is. She's in there now. There's no turning back.
No.
Okay. So see this first mesh layer is,
It's got a lot of layers.
yeah. But this first mesh layer, when you put it in water, do you notice the dirt just sort of rinsed out of it?
Yeah.
So that's great. So we're gonna fold it back because we're gonna start looking. Okay, right here is a dingy spot. Do you have a horsehair brush?
I do.
Do you want to grab it? Because we can work on both sides at the same time.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it'll be like a washing bee.
Make sure I do it right.
Yep, grab the soap and just get some lather in the brush. Okay, and then put your pen under this. And what you want to do, because this tool is so fine, you just want to brush one way. And do you see how I'm brushing it onto like I'm using my hand as the back. Do you see that? And so I'm just brushing like that.
Yep.
Well, wherever it is, it just happened to be that this was at the edge.
I'm gonna find some.
And you'll see it. And it's funny because a lot of it, it's amazing to me how much of this is just rinsed out. But, these are the spots that probably, chances are if we picked the dress up, this is probably what was right under your shoes. Not because you walked on it, because you didn't, but just because that is where, yeah, that's where it pulled. Okay, so then we're just gonna set it aside. So just let it, that's the great thing about having the towels. Okay, here, like this lace, I mean, clearly this lace is what held the dirt. Mm-hmm. So this is where we're really gonna go at it. All right, so here is where we're really, okay, and notice it's stitched together right here. So we're gonna be careful. We're not gonna lift too heavily.
Yeah, I'll start with the stitch.
Always rub toward the edges because what that's doing is it's keeping, like you're not tearing it, you know what I mean? Because you're running toward the hem. And you don't have to, you notice, or maybe you haven't noticed, but you don't have to really scrub. It's like one little, bit, and it's good. That's the great thing about the horsehair. It's gentle enough to kind of go into the fabric and get what it's supposed to get, but it's not tearing because if we were to use, a lot of people are like, oh, I use an old toothbrush. And on your sweatshirt or on my shirt, truthfully, you could probably get away with that. I mean, the truth of the matter is you probably could get away with that. You know what I mean? Pretty easy. But on this, if you were to use an old toothbrush, I mean, you would tear the heck out of this. So it's one of those times to buy a tool.
How often should you change your horsehair brush?
It's funny. It's kind of like your toothbrush. You sort of notice that they start to fray out. And when that happens, it's probably time to do it again. Just get another one. I mean, that's what's so great about them is they're so inexpensive. Mm-hmm. I think aren't they about $10?
Yeah. I use them for everything.
Yeah, I do. I have them all over my house. I mean, I'm obsessed with them. But of course, it's funny. I always tell people, well, I mean, it's easy for me to have them all over my house because, I just take another one home. It's also the reason I don't know what they cost.
So for the little twiggies that got stuck in there?
Yeah, just kind of work them out with your hands. Okay. Don't pull them. Yeah, just you can kind of work it out. Don't don't yank it. Just kind of roll it with your hands. And here, notice I turned the dress back so that we could keep working on this lace edge. I think it's easier if we can kind of work in rows.
Yeah.
Like, let's just throw that back. That's the perfect thing about having a towel, is we can just throw things back. You're gonna, as far as getting, like, if you still see a little dirt when you're done with this, no biggie, because we're still gonna wash it. I mean, we haven't actually washed the dress yet. We're just literally getting this hem. So let's throw that back in.
So good.
And let's go to the next row. And this one, this is gonna be the layer that's gonna be the hard, like the dirtiest of the whole thing. So just prepare.
We're good with, we want the lace out.
And we're just gonna start throwing it back in as we go now. If you imagine that's the front, like you and I are working on the front right now. And so we're gonna start putting it back in kind of as we go. We're gonna like work from, we'll say from the front to the back.
Okay.
On the top layer, it's kind of easiest to just do as much as you can, but then just start throwing it in. You could really do this. You could sit, like put a chair next to the bathtub and push this whole thing into the bathtub and just sit and scrub it like that. It's just not easy with two people, because unless you are one of those people who has like that spa bath that sits in the middle of the room, you know what I mean? You just can't get two people there. And you know, if you ever wanted somebody else to wear this, like let's say, you know, next month your best friend who's your size, which you know that's never gonna happen, right? But let's just pretend if you wanted somebody to wear this, you know, you would just do this again. Like, you know, you don't have to, like this is not like, I mean really, I mean do you think this is all that hard?
No.
I mean I don't think it's really that big of a deal. And my rule would be, if I let somebody wear it, they would help me clean it.
I like that.
See, it's tacked together, so what you don't want to do is you don't want to pull anything. Yeah, this is so fun.
I'm just gonna say this is fun. And I get laundry practice.
Oh, who doesn't want laundry practice? Okay, let's put the whole hem back in the dress. Set the brush. Where do you set your brush? Will you grab a little hit of laundry flakes? Okay, you're gonna put in like a little pinch. Oh, don't put near a spoonful.
Okay.
Do like a little bit more. I was measuring my hands, so that's okay. That's about a fourth of a tablespoon.
Okay.
That's plenty. And I'm gonna do something kind of weird. Notice how I'm putting this in my hands, and I'm like kind of dissolving it. Like I held my hand closed with the soap in it and kind of dissolved it into the water. All right, now here she comes. Get ready. Action's happening. Stuff's moving. Okay, so here we go. You do it. Cheers. So go that way and then go back toward me.
Go this way.
And then toward me, and then we're gonna. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let it sit. We're gonna let it sit. I'm gonna say 5 minutes, and then we're gonna swish.
Okay.
And then we're gonna let it sit 5 minutes, and then we're gonna swish. And we're gonna do that for 20 minutes.
Okay.
This is a perfect time, like, you know, if we want to stop for drinks or whatever, this is the perfect time.
Over there.
Right. This is the perfect time. Yeah, we're not gonna be like, oh, tell me about your day. Cigarette in one hand, red wine in the other. No, probably not. But we're just gonna let it sit, and we're gonna swish it about every 5 minutes.
Okay.
Because the reality is the water's working. The reason we're gonna swish it is because if in those folds there was any of those little linty bits, we want to swish it because we want to make sure those let go.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And that's all the soap you need.
Yeah, that was all we needed. Yeah, because you know it's so concentrated. In fact, I can still feel it on my hands. It's so concentrated, you just don't need very much. So let's wait 5 minutes and we'll come back to it.
Okay.
So it's been 5 minutes. What we're going to do is we're going to reach in and imagine that we're massaging it. Okay, we don't really want to overmove it, because what we don't want to do is we don't want to catch these beads or sequins on other layers.
Okay.
So what we're kind of doing is we're just kind of giving it some movement. And the reason we're giving it movement is so anything that's in it, like any dust or like hairspray, you know what I mean? Those kind of things, we're kind of moving it so that stuff can sort of come out into the water. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right.
But now I get what you're talking about catching.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. That's all we're going to do. So we're going to wait about 5 more minutes, and we're going to do it again.
Okay.
So, and we're going to do this 2 more times. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes, and I want to swish it again. And this time when we swish it, I'm going to try to kind of, do you notice how I'm kind of trying to give it a little spin? I'm trying to give it a little spin because there again, I don't want to catch anything, but I really want it to get a little movement so that if there were any spots like that we, you know, like in the hem, like if there's anything we missed, giving it a little movement will soak that out of it. So we're just going to give it a little, kind of a, you know, a swish, a little swish. Just move it around. Okay, we're gonna let this sit and we're gonna do it one more time. Okay, so it's been 5 more minutes. And do you notice, it's gonna be weird, and I don't think you're gonna really be able to see, you probably can't see it on camera. Do you know how it looks brighter? Like the whole dress looks a little whiter. The reason it looks a little whiter is it had started a tiny bit of oxidation, which fabric does that. Like, there's no stopping oxidation. There's nothing you can do to prevent it. But when you wash it, if it's really bad, we would have put oxygen bleach in here, but we didn't need it. But that oxidation has lifted off of the dress, and I can tell. So the whole dress looks a little bit brighter. And, you know, the water is relatively clean, so I think we did a pretty good job scrubbing it. And it was clean. I mean, the truth of the matter is, the dress was clean, even though you'd worn it for 12 hours. It was clean because you didn't get anything on it. So, you know, there wasn't much to do. If, like, you'd had, let's say, a red wine stain. Like, let's say you spilled red wine down the front of it. We would have treated that with some oxygen bleach. It really wouldn't have, truthfully, it wouldn't have changed the process that much. We would have just thrown some oxygen bleach in the water with this. Or if, like, for some reason, you had fallen and rolled down the hill. I don't know. I hear these horror stories.
It's a good night.
We would have put baking soda in here. Because baking soda would have helped if there was a lot of dirt.
Yeah.
There just wasn't.
Yeah.
And we used a bar of soap that had baking soda in it, and that helped us with the hem. So, you know, we're good, right? So what I want to do now is we have another tub. Will you grab this tub? So this is our second. Will you put some water in it and just a little bit more? And it doesn't even have to be quite this warm. It could be a little bit cooler than this even.
Okay.
Do you mind, like,
Yeah.
get it about, like, I don't know,
So
halfway
it's a little-
full or something?
A little smaller.
Yeah.
Halfway. Okay.
Because it's for our first rinse. We're going to do, the funny thing is we're going to do 1 wash and 2 rinses. For the rinse, I brought us in a little help. Because, you know,
I lit that for the
a little laundry Patric, laundry help.
Excellent.
Okay, so
Is this
now,
enough?
it's
Yeah.
perfect. So now what we're going to do, let's get this right next to the other one. What we're going to do is we're going to pick this up and we're going to hold it in our hands and let it drain as much as we can.
Okay.
Then we're going to drop it into the clear water. All right? So grab it. Pick it up. And we're not ever going to ring it.
Okay. I was
You know,
wondering,
I-
I like have a.
I know,
a
our
distinct-
tendency.
I like want to go and ring that one.
I know. You desperately want to, but we're never going to do that.
Okay, good to know.
Okay, on the count of 3, we're going to go into the other water. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And we're just going to let it go down here. Okay, and you can already see how clean it is because the water's not turning dirty. Can you see that? It's sort of dingy. It's not gross, but it's definitely not just soapy. There's a yellowy, dingy tinge. That's that oxidation washing out. So Natasia's getting us another basin of warm because we're going to wash once, rinse twice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few minutes and just kind of massage this. We're going to swish. We're going to swish it to try to push out some of this. We just basically what we want to do is if there's soapy water left in here, we want to make sure it's gone. All right, we're gonna let it sit 5 or 10 minutes, and then we're gonna rinse it again. Be back. Okay, so we've let this soak in the first rinse, and actually you'll notice we've let it soak so long the water's getting cool. But it's time, we're gonna do a rinse 2, because you 1 wash, 2 rinses, because we wanna make sure all the soap is out of it. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the exact same thing we just did. We're gonna pick it up. And go in. It doesn't have to be quite as drippy dry because we got, you know, from our first rinse, we're still just rinsing. But notice how clean the water is already. You know, so we didn't use too much soap, which is good, but we used enough to get it clean. So we're gonna let it sit in here about 10 minutes, and then we're going to lift it out, and we're gonna hang it, like, I'm thinking in your bathtub. Okay. If this dress were heavier, it's pretty light. If it were really heavy, like let's say it had a ball skirt or something, what we would do is we'd do something different. We would actually lay it flat in the tub because we don't want to put too much stress on the straps. This isn't very heavy, so it's going to be okay to go ahead and hang it up and just let it drip dry that way. But if I wasn't here and you were like doing this yourself and you were like, is this too heavy? You could always err on the side of just laying it flat in the tub. Okay. And just let it drain flat, and then when it's damp, hang it up. This, I just happen to know it's not that heavy, so we're gonna be fine. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna let this sit about 10 minutes, and then, so let's drain this one, and we'll actually use this tub to carry it to the laundry. Okay, so we've let this soak about 20 minutes, so we're ready to drain it. So what I thought it would be easiest, let's drain it into this, or we're gonna pick it up and let it drain, and then we're gonna put it into this, and then from here we're gonna hang it up. Because I think that's just easier than try to take it out of the water to hang it. All right, okay, so we're gonna just pick it up the same way we have. And the water's clean, which I love. Yeah. Because that means we gotta do a good first rinse. Good. Let's give it a little, not too much of a shake because I don't want to get water everywhere, but let's try to get a little extra water. All right, we're gonna drop it in here. And now let's take this. I'm thinking we're gonna hang this from your shower rod. Do you think that's probably the best? Oh, yeah. You know, we'll just let it drain into the tub. Yeah. The first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna throw a towel in the bottom of the tub. I know we cleaned the tub, but just in case, like, you had conditioner or body wash or anything that we just didn't get completely out, I wanna make sure we don't get anything on the hem. So I'm gonna throw a towel in the bottom of the tub because, you know, I mean, it'll get wet, yes, but who cares? It's a towel, that's what they're for. But what we're gonna do, I'm going to put it on the hanger. Definitely wanna use these little dress straps because this is wet. So it is heavier than normal. It's not a ton heavier because it's not holding much water. I've already kind of been looking, but it is heavier. It is heavier. So we've got the little straps. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start lifting it up to here. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hold it here. Let's pick it up. See all of that. Remember that? This is where it was dirty because this is the back. And it's all clean. I mean, because remember this is what was, remember that? This was, the back of it's where it was dirty. Yeah. Yeah. And all of that is clean. And that wasn't hard, was it? No. It didn't really take that long. It was certainly easier than paying $400 to get the dark one. Right? Yeah. Let's give it a day to dry. And then once it's dry, if you want to put it back in the bag until you bring it to the store, all good. And then after we press it, we're going to put it back in the bag, and we're going to do one final thing, but I'll tell you about that when we're at the store. So you brought the dress. Oh, fab. How did the washing go when it was dry and whatever?
It dried beautifully. I didn't touch it. It dried fast, actually.
Yeah, I figured it would dry pretty fast, so it's like perfect and we're good. Okay, you start unzipping it. I'm going to use kind of an old-fashioned trick here. We're going to put down a white sheet because the dress is so big. If for some reason any part of it gets on the ground, I mean, the floor at the store is really pretty clean, but just in case, you know what I mean? Just in case anything gets on the ground, I just want to put a sheet down because that will keep us from dragging any of it up the floor.
like even though my tub was clean, the towels.
Right. It's just, you know what? It's not worth having to do it over.
No.
Okay. All right. Oh, it looks great.
Thank you. Hey.
It definitely looks brighter. I mean, let's get a hold of the hanger. Yeah, it definitely looks brighter. I mean, it really didn't have stains or whatever, but it does look fresher. You know, I mean, you did wear it. And interestingly enough, it's really not very wrinkled, is it? I mean, it's, all things considered, it's in remarkable shape.
This might be nice fabric.
Yeah. All right, what I think we should do, I was actually going to iron it. But I kind of want to get this underlayer a little. If you will hold it, you're going to be the official hanger holder. I kind of want to steam these layers, kind of one at a time. Oh. What's that? And what I'm going to do, normally, you know, you kind of have this idea. See, this one's kind of wrinkled. Normally you have this idea that you steam like, you know, you would normally want to like steam all of one layer and then go to the next one. But the best way to do it, when we have this much fabric, is we're going to steam all the layers at the same time, then turn it. This is such a pretty dress. And I'll tell you, we're going to put this in long-term storage, I know. So we're not going to like starch it or anything like that. This we probably wouldn't have starched anyway, but we really don't have to steam it. It's just because this tulle will wrinkle so bad, the wrinkles will actually hold dust. Like, it creates little levels for the dust to land on. So we're just going to kind of give it a quick steam. And see, like, that was sort of all we needed to do. Now we're going to turn everything. And we're going to repeat what we just did. This layer is probably the best. Steam it. And then,
Some wrinkles there.
right. I mean, this seems to be the layer that wrinkles.
Yeah. It's amazing that some layers are.
Yeah, I mean, like this,
Like the underneath side.
it's that sort of, that more satiny layer that seems to wrinkle. And like the lace, I'm hitting it with the iron just because it's better. I mean, it's here, but truthfully, it's not really wrinkled. All right.
It does like fluff.
Yeah. We're going to continue to turn it. Okay, and here's where we're going to run into issues because this is where the bustle is. And the bustle has to go through all of the layers. So what we're going to do is we're going to steam it where we're going to iron it where we can, and then we're going to steam it where we can. Bustling is really kind of an art form. It's sort of an amazing thing when you stop and think about, like, you know, I mean, because you had to be in it, and she had to find the pins and figure out where she wanted, you know.
And I took a video to make sure we could do it correctly, and she like matched color to color, color to color, so it was smart.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's funny. I mean, don't tell me exact, but I know they charge quite a bit for bustling. because it is sort of an art form, you know.
And there's so many different types depending on the dress.
Right.
Like I don't know all of them, but I've heard of like there's the French one, there's the and depending on the look you want and depending on what's best for the dress and the layers, mine had so many layers.
Right. Well, and your dress wasn't overly full, but it has all these layers.
And it's don't need, like when it's full, you can bust it and it looks beautiful. But mine, it had to become more of an art form and drapey because
to give it that
wasn't
origami vibe.
It was beautiful.
It was really pretty. I'm just gonna pull it towards you just a hair. There we go. We're at the very longest part. See here, because the fabric is so delicate, I'm not even putting the iron on it. I'm just steaming. Oh, you know what? I'm going to show you a trick. I'll be right back. Here's the trick. If you don't have this iron, because I mean, it's pretty wonderful, but not everybody has one. If you don't, what you could do is you could take a handkerchief, some kind of pressing cloth, but a handkerchief is really good for this. Lay it on the fabric, mist it with just a little bit of water. You don't need a lot, but you want enough water that it's going to create steam. And when you go over it, the steam or the water in the handkerchief is going to create steam and it's going to iron this out. Because, see, you got the exact same result, which is nice because, then if you have just a small iron, whatever. Of course, if you have a steamer, it's a different process. But I truly think wedding dresses work better if you can iron with more solid layers.
And I always get nervous that I'll burn the fabric because depending on the fiber content, it can melt it.
You could. That's another reason to use a pressing cloth. I mean, this iron is unique. This is actually set on the linen setting. It's set on the hottest setting. But because it creates so much steam, you never really have to worry about it. But, I get it.
That's why the cloth is nice.
Yeah, the cloth kind of keeps you from doing any damage. Plus, it's someplace for the water to go. I don't really want to spray a ton of water on this fabric. I mean, you could mist it, of course, but I just don't want to spray a ton on it. And the cotton of the handkerchief really holds the water, so you really get that. This is so fun. I don't mind doing that over the edge of the board. All right, we're gonna give it another turn. But we're not done. This is just our last turn. Then we have to do the top. And I'll show you when we get to the top. See, we've already actually done this, but we haven't done this. We've done this, we haven't done this. So we're just gonna this will just take us a second. Because we've made it all the way around.
It's quick.
Yeah, I mean, the process doesn't take that long. I think the biggest fear about washing a wedding dress is really just you're afraid of the fabric. And the truth of the matter is, in a weird way, and I don't mean this to sound bad, but wedding dresses are like clown costumes. They're meant to be worn all day. I mean, they're meant to be durable because, you wanted to be pretty all day, not just when you went down the aisle. So dresses are made, they're very durable. The fabric is durable because they're made to wear, like how long were you in your dress? Probably 12 hours.
Oh yeah, remember I told you I wore till 3 a.m.
Right. So, it was meant,
3 to 3.
It was meant, see, it's funny, right there you can see that tool. You see how the wrinkles just literally fall out of it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Now, we're going to go up into the bottom of this. But I want to get the top. So I'm going to help, like, you pick the dress up. What we're going to do is we're going to take it off the ironing board. Okay, this is one reason we have the white sheet, because you can actually let it down and it'll be okay. But I want to get this. Now, if you didn't have a steam generating iron, this would be the time to use a steamer. And you really could use, you truthfully, in a pinch, you can buy these like really small travel steamers that are like $15. And they're not bad, they just don't hold very much water. So they'll only steam for a few minutes. For this, that would actually work. So if you were just using a regular iron at home, you could use this here. So if you'll come this way, because you haven't been able to be in frame, but because we were showing the dress, so you should get to see. All right, if you'll stand on that side, and the dress should be between us. I don't want to put steam on you.
Yeah, shot in the face.
Yeah. All right. So if you didn't have this, you would steam from the inside, but it's the same technique. We're just going to kind of go over this. And we're going to steam, we're actually going to steam to about here, because that's where it started being sewn together, and I didn't want to force it open. So we're going to just steam a little bit here. All right, if you'll turn the dress around. And see how this brings, the steaming kind of brings all of these little embroideries, it kind of makes them pop back out. You know, that's, and I mean, this steam is like, it's hot. I mean, it's hot, but it's not hurting the fabric. I mean, all right. Okay. So believe it or not, she's done. But let's look at her. This is our chance to look at her. And if we have anything we need to touch up, this is our chance to touch it up. Right here. And I think, truthfully, I think that just happened because we've already taken it down.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of these little embroidery leaves that are wonky, and I kind of want the leaves back.
And so I would steam underneath if I couldn't.
Yeah, if you weren't using pressurized steam, those work on just sort of gravity, or I think they call it, I don't even know if they call it gravity fed steam. They just work on the heat of steam rising it up. You'd work from the inside out because you don't have the power. And that's fine. I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, this is probably a little easier, but I mean, that's certainly a completely legitimate option. All right, if you'll flip it around, I want to just touch up that far side. And I think, again, I think that is, I mean, some of this is going to be unavoidable because it's just hanging. Now, what I want you to do, now that it's done, I want you to just put it back in the bag and hang it in the closet. I might even take the white sheet, take this white sheet with you, and when you hang it in the closet, like put it in the closet that you're not using, like take part of John's closet. It'd be perfect. Put it there and then throw the sheet over the bar because it's just another layer of dust protection, you know? And that'll store it when you're ready for somebody else to wear it. You should come over. You should be in frame when we talk. When you're ready for somebody else to wear it, you know, either you're going to loan it to a friend or you're going to let somebody wear it, or, you know, it's going to be your kid or whatever. You take it out. If it's not dusty, let's give it a steam again at that time, which will freshen it up. If we think it's dusty, we're just going to rewash it. Do you know what I mean? Because it really, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, it was a lot less than you thought it was going to be, right?
And it didn't collect much dust in the couple years that I had it preserved. So hanging, you think is good, or do you think I should put it back in its box with the tissue paper?
I would hang it.
Okay, perfect.
And the reason I would hang it is if you put it in a box, everywhere that it folds, dust can collect there, it can oxidize there. you know, it has the straps to hang it with, so you're not really doing it any harm. Because if you didn't have these straps, I might tell you to put it in the box.
Yep.
Because I don't want this trim and whatever being what holds it up. But this is really what's holding the dress up.
Yeah.
So I would,
Go in there.
right, so I would, you know, if you want to get real into it, you can, when you get home, take it off the hanger, put some tissue paper over the hanger,
Okay.
and then put it back, and then put tissue paper over it, then pull the bag, then throw the sheet.
Got it.
And that'll make it, I mean, at that point, it could be at least 15 years before it would have to be washed again. Yeah.
Yay!
So super easy, super fun. I would say, oh, you should try it back on, but we just cleaned it.
Hopefully it fits.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Whatever.
But no, I want it to be clean and perfect.
Yeah, because this, you can store it. It's such a pretty dress. But this way you can just sort of store it. You can just, you know, and do whatever you want with it.
Here's me in it.
Right.
Just the same.
It's exactly the same.
Exactly.
It's
the
so much
same.
easier. Like, so not 4 people trying to tie it up so you can walk around.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's super easy.
Thank you.
But yeah, and you know, we can always, I mean, you can always touch it up with steam if you ever need to. Like if you were going to loan it to somebody and you wanted to take it out and just kind of touch it up before they saw it, fair enough. But it is completely clean. And what's great is we cleaned it sort of archivally. So it's not the same as if you had used like some sort of detergent or, I mean, it may not have lasted this long, but we've cleaned it archivally. It should be good for a long time. We should be good to go.
Thanks, Patric.
Thanks. Oh, this was so
Here
much
you go.
fun.